Enchanting is a massively important feature in Minecraft. It allows people to customize their armor, figure out their playstyle, and slowly but surely grind to a point at which death is a little more uncommon. It can allow you to survive a fall from a 10-story building, swim freely in lava, or mine through stone as if it's paper. And if Minecraft didn't have enchantments, it wouldn't be the same at all. In fact, I've got a feeling a lot of players wouldn't be playing the game anymore if it wasn't for enchantments. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you 10 different enchanting table room designs, so that whenever you want to enchant an item or a tool in the early game of Minecraft, you can easily create a nice room to make it easily accessible and quite pretty at the same time. My first design belongs in some kind of medieval house or a library or any kind of building like that, or anything really that could involve a spruce wood palette. So over here we have I guess it would be a hallway or something, but it could really be anything. The floor is made up of andesite mixed with some dead coral, some polished andesite and some smooth stone, or just normal stone should I say. And then we have a wall with a trim of barrels, and the main palette of this is spruce. We also have some potted plants, so you have access to anvils and things while you're enchanting. Now we have a very nice arch here with trapdoors for a steep gradient, then stairs to shallow it down a bit, and then one more trapdoor, and it's a very nice arch design if I do say so myself. And then right in the center we have an enchantment table. It is level 30, all of these are, I did check each one, and it is surrounded by bookshelves and looms which create really nice empty bookshelves, and above it we just have a nice curved roof with a lantern hanging down in the center. This is a very simple design, probably the most basic out of all of them, but it's probably the best if you're going for a simple early game style, so I would definitely recommend this design. Next up we have a tree trunk design for any kind of fantasy style of build. So we have what would presumably be a very big tree. So we have the roots, we have some leaves, we even have these little step mushrooms made out of the mushroom stems and smooth quartz slabs, and we even have it as if it's been chopped off at the top. You can have that, or you don't have to if you don't want to. And we also have leaves and grass all around it. But in the center we have a nice little hole right at the bottom of the trunk, with the enchantment table fully surrounded by bookshelves and looms once again. We have a shroom light lighting the place up. I think it looks really nice and natural. We have a cobweb and some leaves, just adding some extra decoration. But once again, this is another very basic early game design. However, it does fit really nicely into any kind of medieval fantasy scenario, especially in some kind of dark oak forest or something, if you're going for that kind of style. Next up we have a design that would fit really nicely in some kind of fantasy style castle. So we can imagine some kind of alchemist or wizard studying at his stool with some brewing stands, some weird strange plants and fungi, a cauldron, and over here we have an enchantment table surrounded with bookshelves, empty shelves with spruce trapdoors this time, as well as the looms. And I think this is once again a very basic design. It does actually fit into a number of scenarios. I just thought this was the best kind of scenery for it to fit into, and it just works really nicely in some kind of medieval style, especially if you've got some kind of magical or wizard style world that you're using this in. Now this one definitely fits really nicely in some kind of steampunk scenario, but it really could work anywhere that hot air balloons could exist. So we enter using the trapdoor. You may have to remove a chain if you just want to get in really easily. We have some twisted vines, and you just go to the top, and then there's the fully enchanted level 30 enchantment table. So the enchantment table itself is in the balloon rather than the basket, and I think it works incredibly nicely for this kind of scenario. Alternatively, you could actually have it as the basket itself, although I did try that out. I didn't like it too much, but yeah, it's still a really unique design. It would have surprisingly fit into loads of scenarios. We also have utilised some brand new 1.16 blocks, including the chains and the twisting vines, but yeah, it does work really well in loads of different scenarios. Next up, we have a very natural looking cave. So around the base we just have a very basic overgrown cave entrance, and as you go in there's loads of mossy cobblestone, coarse dirt, podzol, stone, all kinds of little details, mushrooms, and right in the centre, or right at the back of the cave should I say, there is the enchantment table, once again filled with bookshelves and looms with a lantern hanging right down from the top. And once again, this is probably one of the early game styles of enchantment table, and it's probably the easiest to pull off. I mean, you only really need to dig in by a few blocks and then you've got your enchantment table, and then you just have to decorate it. But it does work really nicely, and it can work for some long-term enchantment table rooms as well. Moving on, we have a very nice modern scenario. So we have a nice TV, just a living room here. Just around the corner we can imagine a little sitting area, maybe a mini library, and down, if we go down a tiny bit, we have some carpet. It's actually full blocks because the carpets would actually obstruct the enchantment table, meaning it wouldn't be level 30. However, we do have bookshelves and looms around the area, adding for that extra bit of detail. This is a very clean, modern kind of style, so it wouldn't be used too frequently, but it is kind of difficult to hide it in, so it's best to just incorporate it into the build itself in this kind of way. For this one, I'm going for some sort of futuristic scenario. Imagine you're building in the end dimension, you have some kind of spaceship in the void, and I can imagine this being some kind of escape pod or something, and just having the enchantment table hanging from a grindstone or something right at the top of the room. This is a very simple but unique design. It could work really nicely in a number of futuristic kind of scenarios. You could have loads of different designs, and while I did have to take some liberty with this using the end portal blocks for this, you can totally imagine this being in the end itself above the void. This is a very unique design. It's a really interesting looking build. I've utilised all sorts of blocks, sea lanterns, cauldrons in the ceiling, which would be a bit expensive, but assuming you're building in the end, you've probably got a bit of iron left over, possibly from an iron farm. But yeah, this is a very nice design, if I do say so myself. For this design, I took a bit of inspiration from my Nether Portals video and came up with some stones, some ruins around the area, and had my best attempt to try and hide the bookshelves behind the rocks, and it kind of works. You can't really see the bookshelves at most angles, but you can see them here and there. But that's beside the point, because at least it's a good, nice functioning enchantment table. The bookshelves are pretty detailed anyway, so it doesn't really ruin the build at all. And it creates a nice mystical scene in this area with these stones. It's sort of like Stonehenge, which in itself is kind of a magical kind of area, and I just generally think this is a really interesting build and can add a whole lot of lore to your survival world. Maybe some alchemists or wizards or something do their enchanting here, whatever you desire. But once again, this is a really nice, interesting design. I hope you enjoyed it. And this has got to be my favourite design of the lot. It's a mushroom, and you might be wondering where the enchantment table itself is in this build. And this is definitely one of the more organic builds. I've used some step mushrooms with the smooth quartz, creating a more organic gradient. I've used the jungle logs for the sort of underside of the mushroom, and I've got some brown mushroom blocks, some coarse dirt with grass on top of it, just adding more detail onto the top. But the enchantment table itself is actually up here, and you can actually access it with these steps using the smooth quartz. You go up to the top and it's just nicely tucked away right at the top of the build. A very, very unique, interesting design. It could work in so many different scenarios, and it's a really nice little fantastical design. And why not actually dedicate a whole building to your enchanting? If you have some kind of desert build, this works best there, but you could have an entirely different building dedicated to your enchanting. But if you enter here, the enchantment table's right in the entrance. We have a lantern decorating it, some bookshelves. It just creates a nice excuse to decorate your builds while still having some functionality in them. It looks really nice. I've also terraformed the outside a bit with some cacti and some pink cacti flowers. I've also used some sea pickles for it, but generally it's just a really simple idea of just decorating your enchantment table with a building dedicated to it entirely. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed all of these designs. I think they went down really nicely. I'm really happy with every single one of them. Let me know what kind of lists you'd like to see in the future. Give any suggestions to me in the description below, or join my Discord if you'd like to have input into what I upload. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please, as usual, leave any suggestions down below. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.